Talking Huskers here with the Big Ten, just 2 weeks away from hitting the field at Ohio State. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, with Chris Wall from Husker Hype on the line. Scott Frost had a news conference today. We'll get the latest here from Chris. How you doing today, Chris?
Hey, Mark, doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nebraska football hitting the field with what we would think would be Adrian Martinez as the starting quarterback. That's pretty much assumed across the nation, especially since he had so much Heisman talk and hype going into last season. But there's actually, in your interactions with the players and what was stated at the news conference today, actually some buzz that there's still a competition of sorts.
Yeah, definitely. So Frost kind of came out today and, said there's still a competition going on. It's healthy. As of right now, it would be Martinez, obviously, but they're definitely encouraging competition. A couple of the other players, specifically the tight end, basically just came out and said, Austin Allen said, there's definitely a clear competition between Martinez and McCaffrey going on right now. So I think Martinez would be the guy, but definitely McCaffrey's a dude. He wants to get in there and he wants to play. So whether it's right away or later down the road, I think they'll both find a way in there somehow.
That situation revolving around Omar Manning, one of the more anticipated players on the offense that people really want to see. Did Scott Frost give any clarification as to his situation going into the opener?
Yeah, so big question mark around Omar Manning, the big JUCO kid that's come in. We've kind of been lacking that size at wide receiver, that go up and get it guy. We lost J.D. Spielman too, our number one returner, went to TCU, so we really kind of need that guy. And the thing with Omar is basically what we're hearing and what Frost kind of reiterated is he's kind of nicked up. He's got some personal things going on right now. There's a lot of rumors flying around it. He did say he's hopeful for him to be back in practice and to play for game one. Personally, I don't think there's any way that he's playing at Ohio State right now. So best case scenario, he kind of heals up, gets everything sorted out, and hopefully can join us at some point this season because he's an absolute game changer.
It's an offense that going into last season, there was a lot of anticipation for explosive plays, of course, led by Adrian Martinez, who ended up only throwing, I think, like 6 touchdowns last year. 10 TDs, 9 picks last year for Adrian Martinez. So it didn't turn in the 30 or 40 touchdown season that people anticipated, both running and throwing. And then a lot of just big names. You mentioned J.D. Spielman, of course, the leading receiver on the team and one of the top receivers in the history of the program, moving on. And with Wan'Dale Robinson coming in, a lot of hype around him. There was just an anticipation to see the Scott Frost offense really hit the scene and hit the ground running. Last year, it didn't happen. Your thoughts about the offense and whether you think they have the personnel to make it explode this year?
Yeah. I think every year it's been, man, we're excited. We got this guy, and the weapons, and it's just can they put it together and can they complete throws and can they move the ball? And, they have the weapons. It's just going to be if they can do it. I think a big part of it, though, is going to be Martinez and the offensive line. The offensive line last year was relatively inexperienced. I mean, we had Cam Jurgens, a true freshman, starting at center who had never played center before. He was a tight end in high school. So we got Cam. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's smarter. Hopefully he gets his snaps down. Just that offensive line from left to right, experience. There's depth there on the offensive line. And then Adrian Martinez, who assumably is going to be the starting quarterback. And he played injured a lot last year. And, Frost doesn't like to say it, and I don't think Martinez likes to admit it, but he was injured a good part of the year last year. So as long as they can get some weapons around him, and I think they'll be able to move the ball a lot better this year.
Chris Wall on the line with us to talk Nebraska. They have a date against the Buckeyes of Ohio State in less than 2 weeks. You can catch Chris and the rest of the crew there at Husker Hype. All right, Wan'Dale Robinson actually turned into more of a running back in sorts in terms of at least getting the carries from the backfield, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, 40 receptions as a wide receiver. Dedrick Mills, obviously, with 10 touchdowns and coming in from Georgia Tech, being the main ball carrier, and pretty much did what was expected there. based on his past at Georgia Tech. So any competition for Dedrick Mills? How do you expect the distribution of the running game to turn out?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up those two guys, those two names, Wandale and Dedrick Mills, and those guys are solid. They're gonna make plays and they're gonna move the ball, and as long as they stay healthy, I think that they're a large reason the offense can be successful. The scary thing is behind Wandale and behind Dedrick Mills, there's really not much experience at all. There's the talent on paper, but there's just not the production. Behind Mills, you have in the backup spot, Ramir Johnson, speedy, shifty, and then you got Ronald Tompkins has had a lot of injuries. The coaches like him. It's just whether or not he'll be able to produce. And then a couple of younger guys, Sevion Morrison out of Oklahoma, true freshman, put on some nice weight, so he might be able to add some depth there at that position as well. Wide receiver, you got Wandale. I love that he's not going to be running the ball between the tackles this year. Thank goodness. Get him out. Get him in space. And then behind Wandale, Alante Brown, the #1 prep kid coming in, is a big target to get some passes this year.
Please like, comment, share the videos on social media, and subscribe right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Talking to Chris Wall from Husker Hype on Nebraska, with the Buckeyes awaiting in 2 weeks. Muhammad Berry, tremendous player, leader of the defense. He's gone. How do you feel about this side of the ball?
The defense, I really like the secondary. They're deep, they're fast, senior led, good group in the defensive secondary. Travis Fisher, the coach back there, he's got him rolling, so I like him back there. The linebackers is probably the bigger question mark. You got a couple of the older guys with Will Honus, Colin Miller, that are smart, good leaders. And then you got some younger guys, the Nick Henrik and Blaze Gunnarsson coming in, a couple of JUCO guys. So it's just kind of who's going to be able to make plays there, specifically in the pass rush. It's just the pass rush is the one thing that I've just harped on for the past 4 or 5 years. So it's just been so lacking. So who can create some pass rush? I really like JoJo Delman and the kid coming in, Nico Cooper, there at linebacker.
Get Chris Wall on the line. You can catch him and the rest of the staff there at Husker Hype, breaking down Nebraska football on a regular basis. Nebraska, Ohio State, that's the headliner there in the Big Ten in week 1, a date against Wisconsin. You're going to know quite a bit about your football team after 2 weeks. Trying to figure out, obviously, Ohio State, Penn State. So that's a rough go right there, considering that once the Big Ten broke down the schedule to just the 8 games, and then the additional game that's going to be determined based on the seedings at the end of the year, that you usually have 3 crossover games. So everybody, just explaining this, plays everybody in the division, and then plays in the Big Ten 3 crossover games. So that's been pared down to 2, and you get the 2 difficult ones. You get Ohio State and Penn State, so no favors for Scott Frost and company. So it's a pretty difficult slate.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and we got football, so Husker fans are just wanting to see our guys out there. But yeah, you got Ohio State and you got Penn State. The only team from the West that's playing both of those teams is Nebraska, and then you throw Wisconsin in there. And Nebraska hasn't beat Wisconsin in I think 6 years. So I mean, that's the one that after Ohio State, they got to come home, and that's the one I got circled on the schedule that they got to win this year is Wisconsin.
So what's realistic for this team in 9 games? And Scott Frost, obviously, with 2 disappointing seasons with 4 and 5 wins. And what's the vibe around the football team in regards to the fan base and the support surrounding Scott Frost and the expectations for this year?
Everyone's still supporting Scott Frost. I think he's the guy. He's got plenty time left there. As far as expectations for the year, it's kind of just wide ranged. I feel like a lot of Husker fans won't be happy unless we win 6, and some of us will be happy if we win 4. Me personally, I think if Nebraska could find a way to win 4 games, it's going to leave a little bit to be left to be desired. But if they can win 4 games, and if one of those can be either Wisconsin, Iowa, or Minnesota, then you go forward from there. Maybe you sneak into a bowl game this year. So 4, 5 would be great. I think there's 3 games specifically. If you think Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, if you need to win one of those, and if you can win 2 of those, then beat Northwestern, beat Illinois. There's your 4 or 5 games right there, and I think that'd be a success.
All right, Chris, we appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the season here. Nebraska football, very intriguing. Certainly gets us a lot of views because despite the downtimes recently, a ton of interest out there on Scott Frost and what he's going to do there at Nebraska. And like you, I'm still a believer that he's the right fit for the job. I just think based on what he showed as an offensive coordinator at Oregon, taking that to UCF, turning that situation around quickly, coming back to Nebraska, that it took him some time to look around, weed out the players that weren't necessarily bought in and going to deliver for him. And so I think it's a bit of a tough turnaround, but I think he's the guy.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's taken him a little bit longer than he initially thought it was going to be. I mean, it's the Big Ten. There's some big boys in there, and they're smacking it around. But I do think that he's the right guy for the spot. New offensive coordinator, Matt Lubick, who he coached with at Oregon, coming in this year. I really am excited for him, and hopefully he can give the offense a little bit more of a spark